Affirmation of public service for global climate change culminated in the awarding the 2007 Nobel Peace Prize to the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change and former U.S. Vice President Al Gore. The Nobel Foundation praised their efforts to build up and disseminate greater knowledge about man-made climate change and to lay the foundations for the measures that are needed to counteract such change. Every human requires and deserves a share of Earth's natural resources, but such resource use is not sustainable if the human population continues to grow exponentially. Fortunately, human population growth has declined to about half of what it was in 1963. The world's population should stabilize in the middle of this century because of rapidly declining birth rate. Better yet, populations are beginning to shrink in developed countries such as Germany and Japan, which have relatively high resource use per person. In Africa, population growth remains high, but still is decreasing. Once the world's population stabilizes, mitigation of greenhouse gas emissions will become easier. Education levels of both men and women have risen over the past decade in all regions of the world. Generally, as education increases, so does the belief that human activities are responsible for global warming. Education correlates with the wealth of nations, and a wealthier, better educated populace can more readily adapt to global climate change. Better educated women tend to have fewer children, and this will promote lower resource use. All in all, rising education levels should promote mitigation of and adaptation to global climate change. Many existing technologies can significantly diminish greenhouse gas emissions from human activities. A number of these technologies are already cost-effective, and others will become so as fossil fuel prices increase or governments impose tighter restrictions on greenhouse gas emissions. Governments and private industries are also developing new technologies. Clearly, we will require a mix of technological advances and conservation efforts to avoid the worst-case scenarios for climate change. I will end with a quote from Howard Zinn's 2004 essay on the optimism of uncertainty. There is a tendency to think that what we see in the present moment will continue. We forget how often we have been astonished by the sudden crumbling of institutions, by the extraordinary changes in people's thoughts, by unexpected eruptions of rebellion against tyrannies, by the quick collapse of systems of power that seemed invincible. Human history is a history not only of cruelty, but of compassion, sacrifice, courage, kindness. What we choose to emphasize in this complex history will determine our lives. If we see only the worst, it destroys our capacity to do something. If we remember those times and places, and there are so many, where people have behaved magnificently, this gives us the energy to act and at least the possibility of sending the spinning top of the world in a different direction. Astute viewers will notice that even these video segments, with their grandiose aspirations, neglect several topics. We avoid most of the recent politics of global climate change because it tends to polarize rather than instruct. We treat human adaptation to global climate change as ancillary to mitigation. Other sins of omission will undoubtedly become evident from the feedback of viewers such as you and will require attention in future modifications. In summary, number 1, the preponderance of scientific evidence now supports that Earth's climate is changing significantly as a result of greenhouse gas emissions from human activities. Number 2, the few remaining skeptics of global climate change have had many opportunities to expound their views, giving the public the false impression that there is very little agreement about climate change. Number 3, the world's population should soon stabilize because of a rapidly declining birth rate. Number 4, existing technologies significantly diminish greenhouse gas emissions from human activities.